Once again, the GOP proves it's the party of insecure men overcompensating. It's a, it's the truth that it's a truth that should be self-evident. If you're emasculated by a balloon, you're not so tough to begin with. Now, last week, a balloon that U.S. officials believed to be a Chinese surveillance device was spotted floating over the state of Montana and likely to take pictures of military assets. Now, in the grown-up world where President Joe Biden and the Democrats live, this was a situation that was called for a thoughtful, careful response. Now, while displeased with the predicament, adults recognized that freaking out was not the answer. Instead, they waited until the balloon wasn't a direct threat to people and properly underneath and shot it down over the ocean. Now, meanwhile, Republicans, many in elected office who could be doing something useful with their time, saw the Chinese balloon as an opportunity for cringeworthy cosplay. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance was just one of many Republicans who spent the days of the Chinese balloon ping-ponging between performative hysterics and childish games of dress-up where they pretend they were somehow going to shoot the balloon down. Now, truly, it's an insult to call this cosplay. People who dress up like Thor at a comic book convention don't actually imagine someone who mistakes themselves for a godlike superhero. Now, Republicans generally seem to think that waving a gun around impotently at the sky while in a panic over a balloon somehow shows that they are tough guys and Biden is not. But in truth, the whole debacle really just illustrated the opposite. Republicans are the epitome of overcompensation. Now, the gun waving does not hide, but rather highlights how they are small, fearful, and painfully insecure, especially it seems when it comes to masculinity. The GOP is a political party singularly devoted to trying to shore up the fragile egos of a bunch of dudes who suspect everyone knows they aren't as manly as they claim to be. Now, leading the pack, of course, was the small-fingered, phony tough guy himself, Donald Trump. The Chinese would never have floated the blimp balloon over the United States if I were squatter. Technically, Trump, there was a blimp in the White House for 4 years, and that's you. He screeched on his fake Twitter site, Fraud Social. Now, presumably, we're meant to believe his elaborate comb-over and spray tan would have created a manliness force field that repelled all floating objects. But of course, it's a lie, as Jonathan Karl of ABC News reminded Senator Marco once pretended to like Rap Rubio when he echoed Trump's lie on air. In reality, U.S. officials claimed the Chinese sent these balloons into U.S. airspace during Trump's squatting, and none of them were shot down. Now, Trump reacted to this reminder like he always does, like a 5-year-old denying he's the one who drew kitty cat pictures on the wall with crayon while taken to Fraud Social again to rave. China had too much respect for Trump. No, they didn't. And that Republican voters mistake this man for John Wayne really showcases how it's a party built around the childish insecurities of people who really should be old enough to know better, but who continue to confuse belligerence for grit. Now, the GOP is obviously a party of cowards who are constantly jumping at shadows, and it's becoming fucking exhausting to watch even an hour of foe and the long list of the things that they expect their audiences to live in, like fear, from Antifa and Black Lives Matter to kids reading books with gay characters to big cities to transgender people, and to women who say rude things about anti-choice judges to wokeness and to refugees seeking political asylum. They complained when candy cartoons changed their shoe preference, and Mr. Potato Head became just Potato Head, and women joined the Ghostbusters. People dyed their hair pink or purple, and popular songs had referenced female sexual arousal. Now, of course, as fun as it is to laugh at these fucking idiots, there's a very real dark side to the politics of overcompensation. Now, Quislings who want to pretend they're tough often do so in the most despicable way possible, finding someone smaller to beat up on. Now, Melissa Ryan writes in the Control Alt-Right Delete newsletter, what really defines the maggot base is that they crave an authoritarian government that will punish their enemies and beat down vulnerable populations. So it's no fucking surprise that they would bounce up and down on Trump's dick and brag, basically Trump who bragged on tape about how he uses his his fake rich status as a celebrity to sexually assault women, most of whom probably weigh less than half of what he does, because Trump weighs about 500 pounds, or that they idolize Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who picks his targets mainly based on how powerless they are. Which is why he's so focused on snatching books out of the hands of school children, or that their new hero, the liar George Santos, is a con man accused of stealing from an old woman and defrauding disabled veterans, or that they make excuses for the violence of David DePape, who was accused of beating up, who basically was found guilty of beating up Nancy Pelosi's husband. Perhaps the most pitch perfect illustration of what maggot is all about came during Trump's squatting when he hid in the bunker in the White House while police tear gassed peaceful protesters outside. Now, unlike those protesters, Trump had no physical courage of his own. He has such a douchebag that he couldn't even stand to walk outside where he had been heckled by the crowd of unarmed, peaceful protesters. But he faked strength by sending someone else to enact violence for him and a group of people who couldn't defend themselves naturally. The first rule of maggots: never ever pick on someone your own size. The Chinese balloon, the Chinese balloon nonsense is just the silliest iteration of this mentality. Shooting it down prematurely only meant risking civilian lives. Of course, the same sociopathic Republicans who discourage COVID-19 vaccinations don't care how many people they get killed for their political theatrics. But in a grown-up land, however, you don't go crushing innocent people to death in an impotent display of anger towards a helium-fueled spy machine that likely gathered less data than TikTok does by the minute. But Republicans don't care about the hard-nosed choices actual adults make. All they care about is masculinity make-believe no matter what the fucking cost is. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RVW King. You can also leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just a few bucks a video, your donation can help go a long way, and thanks for listening.